I'm a robot vacuum cleaner, so yeah, I got one gig. I suck up dirt, so pardon my inferiority complex about Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could they save their customers money on car insurance, but they got fast and friendly claim service too, and an award-winning mobile app. Plus access to licensed agents 24/7. Who am I kidding? I can't even do corners. Uh-oh, choking hazard.
Popcorn kernels.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz Podcast.
Greg Cody of the Miami Herald in with us today, as he is every Tuesday. Thank you for joining us. We've got a number of different things to get to. We've got a lot of NBA pettiness. I love how petty the NBA is. I am here for giving the players more and more power so that they do pettier and pettier things with that power. I don't even know which one was the best one from last night. J.J. Barea, John Wall calling J.J. Barea midget, and J.J. Barea countering with nobody likes him on his own team. I love it. Just, I wish more of sports was like that. Football will not allow it. Jalen Ramsey evidently is allowed, but football won't allow this stuff.
Well, I think it's the coaches, the head coaches, they don't allow that kind of stuff. But in the NBA, they don't seem to care.
Well, it's the players have more power than the coaches. Coaches are lackeys. They're not, they're administrators. The coaches aren't overseeing everything. You've got Kawhi Leonard feuding with the Spurs. You've got the Cavs are all mad at Kevin Love. All right, let's stop here for a second.
Yes.
Because that has to be in the time capsule. We have been doing something around here in private. It's a time capsule of how things blow up. This is what Billy and Mike have been doing with help from the shipping container.
It's great work.
Yeah, they just put something in a time capsule and they put it back on a date before it happens. And then when it happens, like David Blatt says something happened over the weekend. One of the best ones we've gone through so far where you reach into the time capsule and there's another one that portends the end for LeBron in Cleveland.
Let's see here. Open up this time capsule. Wow. David Blatt does an interview was good. Yeah. This is going to be a big one that hasn't happened yet. You want me to ruin it?
Sure.
All right. So LeBron's going to complain around the playoffs that the team is not, where he wants the team to be. But the team's going to be filled with people that he wanted them to get at the trade deadline. So just look out for that one.
Okay,
that one's coming.
Okay, that one's coming. But what's happened so far? What are things that you've gone back into the past and proven yourself right on because it's happened? Give me the list.
People are going to question Ty Lue. That's already started. David Blatt is going to talk. That's already happened.
Right, yep. Right.
The annual vacation is coming. We all know that.
Okay, so not a lot has happened yet, though.
Oh, no. Things are happening. You wouldn't believe this. Right here. And this is going to sound unbelievable. Right here, I'll read it directly. Remember, this is dated 1/12/18.
That's right. From the past.
On this list, players are going to accuse Kevin Love of pretending to be sick.
No way. I don't believe that. No.
Here it is.
No. I don't believe that. There's just no way that
paper.
happened exactly like that.
It
had to be more general, like a fortune cookie.
Nope. It's written on paper.
That's nonsense.
You saw him unfold it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Didn't you look? I'll close it and I'll unfold it again.
I need to see some notaries.
There's a piece of tape that's broken.
No,
look, we broke the seal.
No. Yeah. Look, I would have believed you if you said everyone blames Kevin Love for something. If the time capsule has to be like a horoscope, has to be like a fortune cookie, just general enough that it could land on the mark.
Little too specific.
It's too specific.
Yeah. So you want us to be less accurate? This nailed
There's
it.
just
right
no
here.
way that's how that was
in
written.
Writing. It's right here.
It's in writing.
In ink. This isn't even like pencil that could be erased. This is in pen.
Same color.
That's eerie.
What else? Did anything else happen yesterday from the time capsule?
That's a big one, Dan.
It is a big one.
More things than that to happen.
No,
That's pretty much the key to our whole thing.
Yes, something happens to Kevin Love.
Check that off the list. And Guillermo's right. At some point, he will, in a passive-aggressive way, blame George Hill for everything. A guy he wanted at the deadline.
All right. Hold on just a second, because I'm seeing reports coming through now. Mike, what are we allowed to talk about here? What is ESPN reporting? Who can I put these reports on? Because it is now spreading through the news that ESPN has hired somebody. And what can I discuss here? Because I can't wait to get in the game with discussing this ESPN employee and just sort of marveling at a career unlike any I've seen in the history of humanity.
Now we're in the territory where we know what we're doing rather than just going out and doing it and apologizing on the back end. So the way that we've approached this isn't great for us to be able to talk about because internally we're not talking about it.
All right. There are reports that A-Rod is going to be the voice of Sunday Night Baseball. He's been hired, and they don't have a play-by-play guy. And there are reports out there all over the place. So I don't know what's true and what's not true.
I saw Sporting News do something with that. So
all right.
Put it all on them.
Okay. Let me backtrack for just a second. I've known A-Rod since the day he was drafted. Was at his home. I've always written very positive, flattering things about A-Rod. You know how I feel about steroids. I don't care that guys cheated. I understand going through the pharmacy if there's a fountain of youth that allows you to extend your self-worth from 35 to 40 years old. You know how I don't care about that stuff. But, man, do I want to laugh at A, the sports media, and B, the sports consumer. Because this guy is not only getting the prime job at ESPN, he's still allowed to work at Fox. And that whole scandal that we trafficked in kept Pedro Gomez, making money. Like, had Tim Kirchin chasing doctors through the alleys in South Florida. Like, all of our outrage means nothing because A-Rod's getting all the good gigs and is swinging the biggest bleep in the business.
I mean, getting the Strahan treatment right there.
Unbelievable. It's like there was never a scandal. You give me all the other athletes working in the media banned from their sport for a year. It's like it never happened. We were yelling about steroids for 10 years, and you don't actually care about anything. You don't care that they were all cheating. He's getting every media job he wants as if there was never a stain on the resume.
But he's great at it.
Oh, agreed?
Yes, he's great at it.
Agreed.
Yes.
I mean, Steven Jackson did punch fans.
Yeah, but only lost half a season. A-Rod was kicked out of the entire sport. The Yankees were chasing him through the streets with pitchforks.
And Steven Jackson is not the voice of the NBA on ESPN.
That's another thing. We haven't given Steven Jackson any of the prime gigs while letting him also work at Fox. Like, A-Rod's just doing whatever he wants. I will deign you with my presence. And I say this with nothing but enormous admiration. Like, I am not hating on this dude. May he have all the jobs that he wants. I can't believe I'm sitting in the middle of, you live long enough to be a hero, to tear you down, to put you right back up there, and all you got to do is date J-Lo.
Hi, this is Papi. Do you know that my TV show Highly Questionable is not only on ESPN2 every day at 4:30 Eastern? It is also available as a podcast. You can listen or subscribe to the Highly Questionable podcast on ESPN app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don Le Batard.
Jordy Nelson had a goose egg. Unbelievable. What are the odds? Money in the bank, that guy normally. Best Nelson since Ricky Nelson in the 60s.
Stugats.
Hands up if you remember Ozzie and Harriet. Put them up.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
True story here. Play this song a little louder here, Mike. A little louder on this one.
Love this song.
True story. Showing my age right here. My first car was Grandma's car, and it had really cruddy speakers. And there was a radio station in Miami at the time that played only the top 10 hits. Only the top 10 hits. And Susu Studio was there, and the rearview mirror had fuzzy dice on it.
Yeah.
Actual fuzzy dice on the mirror. That's right. Blaring Susu Studio and Grandma's car. I was 41 years old.
Grandma left the fuzzy dice in there?
I put them up there because I was rolling free. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is there any feeling in the universe worse or better than your first car? The freedom of your first car. It's up there. It is what would you go all in on in terms of a tipping point into adulthood? Like, what is a better tipping point? Is it sex or is it having your first car?
Wow.
Like, where is it? What would be the tipping point? If I went all in on the feeling of freedom of adulthood, and I go all in with having your first car.
Wow.
What can you top me with? What do you have that you would say, is bigger and better as a tipping point feeling.
It's freedom. I'm finally on my own. I'm away from my parents. I can go where I want. I can do it when I want. I would say driving over sex.
How about first apartment, though? That's when you're literally moving away from the parents.
Dorm room, that first.
I know, but the car is the first taste of freedom. The apartment is total freedom. The car is the first taste of, I can do things outside of the purview of my parents. In fact, I would say that that's the only time anywhere in my childhood where you would have found something that felt like or looked like teenage rebellion, because I was tearing up lawns in the neighborhood in grandma's car by like spinning the back wheels.
You were doing donuts?
Yeah.
Nice.
I was tearing up. Yeah, I was a real rebel.
We have something in common.
I was a real rebel. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Did you tear up lawns in your teenage years?
Did you play mailbox baseball?
With your cars, yes.
I can't get past the fuzzy dice. That's a visual that's hilarious to me. I remember my first car very well. 1964 Buick Skylark with big fat racing tires.
I would have gone Depression era.
I was going Model T.
Yep.
With a crank out front.
And a horn that went, ooga.
That's
yes.
Right. A horn that sounds a little bit like Bob Kraft getting a thought together when talking about the egos that have to be kept in check among Belichick, Brady, and the rest at the height of the dynasty. Is this what your car's horn sound like?
There's a lot of.
I want to get to all the NBA pettiness. We'll do so in a second. But I had to laugh yesterday, Stugotz, because I don't know if you guys have been following sort of the entire coaching career arc of Jason Kidd, this magnificent this meteor that flashed across the sky. In his first year, the coaching move was to not have a timeout and run into a fellow player in an orchestration of a spilled drink that got him suspended. And then he snakes his way out of Brooklyn as soon as they don't have Garnett and Pierce anymore with a great move, a great cutthroat move where he just attaches himself to his friend in Milwaukee and attaches himself to Greek Freak. Just a great move. Unbelievable power move.
The friend being the owner. A
That's
GM
right.
has never hired
That's
Jason
right.
Kidd to
That's
be their
right.
head
That's
coach.
right. That's right. But Jason Kidd went in full snake mode, makes his way to Milwaukee, and he's like, he gets one of these prizes that coaches never get. The young superstar coming. And then yesterday, never mind. Get out of here.
How are we eighth? Get out.
Yeah, get out. We got this extraterrestrial in the middle of our offense and against the wishes of the superstar.
Yes.
Yes. Well, the superstar only knows one thing, right? He only knows Jason Kidd. Plus, you got that superstar who's under 25. Like, coaches get that. They do well with it.
That's a good job.
That's a great job.
That is a good job that Jason Kidd just got blown out of. And now what for Jason Kidd? Like, is that where it dies? Jason Kidd's not going to become an assistant coach. You want Jason Kidd? You want Jason Kidd as your head coach?
No.
You don't think he'll become an assistant coach? That's how you rehab the career.
Oh, Jason Kidd wanted to go to the front of the line from the beginning.
Yes.
Jason Kidd was doing, no, I'm a star player. I go to the front of the line, and I'm going to deal with owners. I'm not going to go through any protocols, any interviews, anything. I go to the front of the line. I'm Jason Kidd.
All right, enjoy Europe then.
Well, but what's going to happen next now? Because those jobs, Alvin Gentry with Anthony Davis, those are the jobs you want when you've got the young superstar.
He's going to work here.
Yeah.
Oh, that is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He's going to come in and do what A-Rod just did. He's going to knock Jalen Rose out of the way, get everybody out of the way. Hey, where's the prime seat at the table over here?
Yeah, put together a new Jason Kidd time capsule. The Bristol Car Wash is happening in less than a month. Then all of a sudden more reps are in the postseason, and then in the offseason, new contract announced.
Or maybe, this job is so attractive because of Giannis that maybe, Jeff Van Gundy is perhaps thinking about getting back into the game, and then Jason Kidd just slides right in there. There are coaches.
Wait a minute, what slides into what? As an assistant to Jeff Van Gundy?
No, Jason Kidd sitting right next to Mike Breen.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Him being an assistant on the Bucs staff would have been weird.
Okay. I was like,
yeah, no, you fired me. I'm back.
I'm back, but in a lesser capacity.
That's a good call on Jeff Van Gundy, taking over the Greek Freak.
Well, this job is so attractive that I would have to, because of him, right, that I would have to think that Jeff or anyone, guys who are coaching right now, who are head coaches for teams in the NBA, would consider leaving their job to go coach this kid.
Woj says it's a very desirable job. And look, you can live an equal distance from Chicago and Milwaukee. It gets us knocked like it's terrible, but it's actually not that far from a actually good city.
No, you know what? I've heard that a number of times, and that's just nonsense. Nobody actually does that. It's kind of, you know where else I've heard that? And it's a giant lie? The distance between Bristol and New York.
Oh, total lie.
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, people say, it's only an hour and a half, and you could just go from Bristol, Connecticut. Nah. It's an hour and a half from a good city. And that's not good.
And it's not an hour and a half. You'll get into the state of New York in an hour and a half.
Right.
You're not getting into the good
but
parts
it's
in
the
an
whole
hour
thing.
and a half.
But that's I've heard this about Milwaukee before. And by the way, I've got nothing against Milwaukee. I ate a burrito as big as my head there once, and it was magical. I got nothing against Milwaukee. I'm just saying I've been hearing that one forever. Well, Milwaukee's real close to Chicago. Nah. I do wonder about this, though. If you're a coach, you could get that Milwaukee job. My guess is that Jason Kidd just got Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson was doing good things in Golden State and might have a hard time getting another job because they've seen what happened in Golden State since he left.
Right.
And Jason Kidd is about to leave that in his wake, where it's like, wait a minute, you did nothing with Greek Freak? Nothing.
Yeah.
You did nothing but underachieve. You never maxed out anything. You only minimized. You had a legitimate young superstar, and you did nothing with it.
8 seed in the East.
In a bad conference. Like, does this bury Jason Kidd?
Yes,
like, he snaked his way out of Brooklyn. Why would you want Jason Kidd as your coach?
Right. Plus, he's got a couple of off-court stuff as well. So.
Well, that was a long time ago, though.
It was, but
he was flipping over DUI cars in, like, college.
Nevertheless.
But it didn't stop him from getting any of the previous 2 jobs. What do you mean?
It's part of the baggage that goes along with.
I don't think anyone
just got fired from a good job.
Right. I don't think anyone's factoring that into the equation anymore. It's just Giannis. That's it.
You just brought up draft-related character concerns as a reason to not hire 45-year-old Jason Kidd?
To be fair to Greg, it stretched into his playing career. I mean, he had a very ugly separation.
But in fairness to Dan, he's gotten 2 jobs.
Wait a minute. We're smearing Jason Kidd's resume because of a messy divorce?
Not smearing
There are a lot of reasons to do it. How about not winning with the Greek Freak?
Dan Lebatard.
My hair is unfashionably age-inappropriate long, perhaps the longest it has been since college, and may continue as such. I'm not sure why. Last vestiges of the extreme outer limits of midlife crisis.
Stugatz.
Feudal shield held wobbly against the encroachment of mortality. Maybe the last stage before the onset of Mr. Rogers-style sweaters and the silent surrendering acknowledgement of official old age.
All truth.
If this is how you always wrote, you would be like one of America's greatest authors.
This is the Dan Lebatard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
Here's your SportsCenter update. The Milwaukee Bucks fired head coach Jason Kidd. DeMarcus Cousins, who scored 44 points with 24 rebounds and 10 assists, was the first player in 46 years to go 40, 20, and 10 in a game during the Pelicans' 132-128 double overtime victory over the Bulls. And finally, sad news, as last night Neil Diamond announced that he has Parkinson's, which is forcing him to immediately retire. Wendy's 4 for $4 is better than ever. Now you have 8 different sandwich options, along with nuggets, a small fry, and a small drink, all for just $4. Pick from favorites like the Double Stack, Junior Bacon Cheeseburger, Spicy Chicken Go Wrap, and many more. Available at participating Wendy's for a limited time. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Guillermo, put this on the poll, please. A sportsier poll than the normal poll that we does that makes fun of the daily sports poll. Why aren't the Pelicans better? And then have these 2 be the choices. Their other 3 starters aren't any good? Or the game has evolved so quickly that Anthony Davis and Boogie Cousins is not the way to win anymore. That you wanted them 20 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago.
Right.
You wanted the both of them on your team, and you could have dominated the sport with the both of them on the team. But now that there's a shot that people are making that is worth more than the shots that they tend to make, even though they too are taking threes.
Right, they can make those shots.
They too are taking threes.
I would say supporting cast. I think you can win with those two if you have the right people around those two.
Okay, so just put that on the poll, though. I'd be curious what people think, because that kind of player is becoming obsolete. And in order to evolve, Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins have brought their game out to the three-point line in order to keep up with the evolution, taking a lot more threes than they've ever taken. But speaking of evolution and the evolution of games, I know what I'm supposed to say here. I'm supposed to say that concussions are bad, and I'm supposed to say that safety comes first in the NFL. But what the hell are you supposed to do when a polar bear is falling out of the sky and his head is not where it's supposed to be and it lands on your helmet and you get blamed for concussing Gronk and you get penalized and you get all of the stigma and shame that comes with being a dirty player when all you were doing is trying to do your job and Gronk's giant skull fell out of the sky and hit you in a way that this is one of the things I marvel at in football when watching Gronk play. Guys, go look at the hit that Gronk got concussed on and look at what happened to the dude that Gronk hit. To me, I don't get why that's not a penalty on Gronk, because he got concussed. But it was, if you're going to call that a penalty, if that's not going to be allowed, Gronk caused that to happen. It was not the defender who caused that to happen. The defender is trying to tackle a polar bear who is falling out of the sky, and the polar bear doesn't have control of its head.
Yeah, it's Barry Church who's the defender, and I'm watching it.
Watch what happens to Barry Church on that play.
Yeah, I mean, he gets right up, but Gronk, he tramples him. But you're right. I said that with Ryan Shazier. The game is moving so fast at so many different angles. It's just hard to get your body and your head in the right spot.
I'm talking,
like, that pass was thrown high. Gronk had to go up and get it.
I'm talking specifically about that guy. I'm talking about a guy who doesn't have a precedent in the sport. Rob Gronkowski is physically bigger and more menacing. He's got how many pounds on Kellen Winslow? On the original Kellen Winslow, Gronk might have 30 or 40 pounds on Tony Gonzalez. What is playing that position defies the physics and the physicality of that position. And now here's what the Patriots do. They've got a quarterback who's so precise, and they've got a play that can't be stopped, which is just throw it to Gronk at the highest point. No one can guard it. There's not a human being or animal on earth that can guard the precision of Tom Brady throwing to Gronk's highest point.
He's got 15 pounds on Kellen Winslow Sr.
Right.
Winslow Sr. was obviously very big. He was 6'5", 249. Gronk's 6'6", 265.
Look, I've stood next to both of them. Kellen Winslow is a dwarf compared to Rob Gronkowski. And what I'm saying is, if Gronk is falling out of the sky and you're the defender, what the bleep are you supposed to do if his head is coming toward you?
It is weird about the helmet-to-helmet hit because 90% of it finds the defensive player as the aggressor. But you're right. On occasion, the offensive guy is going to be causing it, and perhaps intentionally, to try to draw the penalty against
Am I a lunatic by suggesting that if you must call a penalty on that play in the name of safety, that it should have been called on Gronk, even though he was the one who was concussed?
Yeah, that's a tough one because Gronk is focused on. That's ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, he's focused on getting the ball, and Church is focused on tackling Gronk.
This is what I'm telling you guys.
Church led with his head.
Yeah,
this is what I'm telling you guys, though. You are putting
take.
Church in an impossible position, trying to do his job when these are the set of circumstances in play. An unprecedented physical tight end is being thrown to by the most precise person in the history of the sport at quarterback. He's the only one who you have to double team, so the window that you're going to be throwing to in is super small because the only guy the Jags needed to double cover was Rob Gronkowski. So now you're going precision with a freak extraterrestrial, and you're throwing to a spot that leaves him maximum vulnerable because he's extended to the highest point. What the bleep do you want a defender to do?
Square up and tackle like a normal person?
No, man.
No.
I mean,
he was in position to do so.
Now I've watched it a million different angles.
He led with his head.
Yeah, he could have gone. Danny could have gone to the chest.
Play. He was trying to take him out.
He could have.
Yeah.
He was trying to take
a
him
leg
out.
tackle.
I thought Gronk was responsible for that. I thought
But Gronk was running in a straight line.
I know, but Gronk's head was falling out of the sky, and I just don't think that it could. He was trying to tackle Gronk toward the middle of Gronk's body.
Yeah, but Church led with his head. The thing furthest
Gronk led
out,
with his head.
Gronk was running in a straight line.
Gronk led with his head.
But so did the guy who's tasked with tackling him, who could have squared up.
I'm saying this is an impossible situation.
Gronk's going after a football. I mean, that's his job. He's got to go up and get a football. He's not meaning to lead with his head. Barry Church is.
No, Barry Church is headed to where he knows that football, where it's going because of the precision of the quarterback and because you have to throw to the wingspan, the very tips of 6'7".
I believe Barry Church knew he was getting a flag.
So do I.
There's intent there.
Okay, I don't think he deserved one.
And imagine the outrage if the guy who suffers a concussion is the guy who's penalized on the play. It just doesn't happen.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying how different would you guys be talking right now if instead of Gronk being concussed, it had been Church? Because look at what happens to Church on that play. The act of this guy playing football again, Gronk playing football is a physical menace that is going to get people injured.
Right.
Gronk running at a high rate of speed is going to, A, destroy his body in a way that requires too many surgeries before the age of 30, and B, the way that they specifically are playing, where they have the Cap Boso play in Tecmo Bowl. They have the play that can't be stopped. It's what Seattle was doing with Jimmy Graham this year. You take a guy who's physically a basketball player and no species of animal can cover him, and then you have the offense based around Tom Brady will be more precise than anything you've ever seen, throwing to just where his hands are.
Oh, there's several examples of what is that guy supposed to do there. I just think this is a bad example of that because Church went in trying to hit him with his head.
Yeah,
it's thoroughly understandable why a receiver airborne would get all benefit of doubt in terms of being in a defenseless position.
Right. And I'm with Mike, man. Like, the real problem here is give up 15 yards to take out the other team's best player. Dan, you don't know that message wasn't conveyed to someone.
This is what okay, we can have that conversation about that if you want to. I'm talking about what's baked into the bread of football, which is that Gronk is unsafe. Gronk as a being running through your secondary. That is a bus without tires. The tires are rolling into the stands. Like, Gronk running through your secondary is someone that's unsafe. It's for everyone. And so what I'm telling you is Church's choices are either administer that or have it happen to you. Because Gronk coming through your secondary diving for a football is something that should not be allowed.
Or just take out his knees like any normal person and end his career that way.
There you go.
Yep. Really has a small window, Church does, to kind of make that tackle.
His window's only the largest window in the NFL
but that's the
between
thing.
his head and knees.
No, see?
But Mike, he can't go low, he can't go to the helmet.
Yes, but he has, don't give me small window. He's got the largest window in the league.
No, I mean, yes and no. Not when it's falling out of the sky. When it's falling out of the sky, Gronk speared Church. Gronk should not be allowed to play in the Super Bowl.
I've taken every side of this argument.
Don Le Batard.
I mean, it makes sense, though, right? More oxygen helps you live longer.
I just invested in an oxygen bar in Las Vegas.
Why?
Why? Because it's a good investment.
Why's that joke? That joke.
It wasn't a joke.
Stugats.
It's in the Bellagio.
Schauspieler.
Right across from Chanel.
Schauspieler.
Look it up.
Schauspieler.
Says Greg's Lobo's oxygen bar.
Schauspieler.
Love is like oxygen.
Schauspieler.
Sweet.
Are you done?
I am.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
I need to get to Greg Cody taking my Christmas gift and not using it and really ruining the holidays. We'll get to that in a second. But I'm not making this up. These are two back-to-back sentences heard in the studio right here, right before the microphones came on. And this is what I'm dealing with today in Greg Cody of the Miami Herald and the ever-present Stugat. I'm saying back-to-back sentences. Greg Cody says to me, you know, the PFPI Gala is coming up.
Oh.
Yeah, we pronounce it gala.
He said his fantasy league gala where he's the commissioner and he dresses in a brown suit and none of the rest of the family takes it seriously.
Yeah.
He said the PFPI Gala is coming up soon. And then the next thing I heard from Stu Gatz was, if Giselle told me no sex, I'd retire.
I mean, I would. There's a story out there that Giselle, during the offseason, she wants Tom to retire. She's worried about Tom. She wants her man full-time. And she went to Jay Feely because Jay Feely is one of Tom Brady's best friends. They played at Michigan together. And Jay Feely could not convince Tom Brady to retire. And I was just telling Mike and the guys, like, why do you need to go to Jay Feely? Just say, hey, Tommy, no more sex till you retire.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. If Giselle said no more sex, would you retire? Yes or no? It's a great question.
Thank you.
It's an excellent question. Now, I want to get back, though, because during the break, everyone was yelling at me, telling me that my Gronk take was irresponsible and how wrong I am. And now I'm doubling down.
You're rolling with a pair of threes.
Oh, boy.
We're just going to go ahead and fold.
No,
we want no part of saying, yes, it was.
No, listen to me. Listen to me. I just saw the video during the break. That damn church guy was damn near trying to get out of the way of Gronk. He led with his right shoulder, and Gronk's head speared him. I don't care that it looks bad. I don't care that it sounds bad. Gronk did that to himself, and he did it to Church. Church had no options there. His options were don't do your job or do it that way and get hit by Gronk. I'm doubling down on that was not Church's fault, and that's football gone sideways.
Richard Sherman agrees with you.
That's football gone sideways.
He agrees, but he's not the person to ask. Let me hear a tight end or a wide receiver that agrees with you.
You've made the rules so much for the offense in favor of the offense that you're making it impossible for that dude to do his job when it's Tom Brady, greatest we've ever seen, throwing into a super tight window to his double-covered tight end, and might do it just to get that call. Hell, the Patriots, only thing that worked for the Patriots on Sunday and extended their season is that they were getting calls downfield. It's the only way they moved the ball.
Yeah.
All their touchdowns, the only way they moved the ball were calls downfield on bull bleep.
Yeah. I mean, Sherman said, listen, the only other option was to go low and go for his knees. He gets hurt that way. Everyone calls him a dirty player. There's nothing we can do. That's what he said.
I'm telling you
You're
that
both wrong.
I am, okay, that's fine. And you can call Sherman biased. I'm telling you that no football I've ever seen has made it quite that unfair to the defensive player. When you put that combination of crud together and you're throwing into that tight a window, which your quarterback never does because he doesn't want to expose his receivers that way. And then that's what ends up happening.
But it's a rarity, though, what you're describing, where it
is a rarity.
Where the offensive player is actually the offensive player in the helmet-to-helmet hit.
Gronk did that.
Okay, but it's so rare that you have to err on the side of eliminating the helmet-to-helmet hit at any cost.
Getting back to what Cody did with my Christmas gift, it's offensive, right, Stugatz? I got him Jackson Brown tickets.
Yeah.
It's offensive.
It really isn't.
It really is.
There were extenuating circumstances, of course.
What could I gave you a gift for Christmas.
Sure.
And you now don't want that gift, the gift you wanted.
Okay, first of all,
It's Dan, Stu, and Greg Cody on ESPN Radio.